southern part of the United States, there lives a remarkable bird. A bird that has lived wild in the woods for centuries. A bird who no less an authority than Benjamin Franklin put forth in candidacy as a national emblem of our country. A bird who hatched in May will at the end of the first summer weigh 10 pounds. A bird with a long neck and legs, a blue head, and with breast and back feathers of a subdued though iridescent beauty. A bird who, when grown to a weight of 20 pounds, can fly at speeds of 50 miles an hour through trees. A bird whose sense of hearing is simply phenomenal, whose sense of sight is even better than that, and who bears the same resemblance to the barnyard turkey as I do to Jack Dempsey in his prime.
You know, if you grew up and you were a baseball nut, you dreamed about playing catch with Mickey Mantle, if you're my age, or if you dreamed up watching football, you thought, man, I'd like to meet Johnny Unitas. Well, I went through that too, but the guy I wanted to meet was Tom Kelly, because I got addicted to turkey hunting real early, and there was a couple of things that affected me, but one of them was reading the book, The 10th Legion. And I read that book to this day. Every year before spring starts, I read that book, because to me, he puts in clear perspective what it means to know the rules, to know the background, to know how special turkey hunting is. And there was one passage in his book, The 10th Legion, toward the end, and when I read it, I said, that guy understands it, because he feels the same thing I do. I got it marked in here. I read it all the time. And it's on the last page of his book. It says, the first turkey that ever came to me on the ground did it a long time ago. I sat there with
my hands shaking and my breath short and my heart hammering so hard I could not understand why he could not hear it. The last turkey that came to me last spring had exactly the same effect, and the day that this does not happen to me is the day that I quit.
And we'll stay put this time. We gotta pick you out your own spot.
All right. Right in here behind these two persimmon trees.
All right. I'm gonna leave back down in the woods, and I'm gonna stay put till you come get me.
Okay.
I ain't moving.
All right. All right.
Man, I hope they keep going. Oh yeah. I ain't moving this time.
My grandfather was one of those people that said, go and bring a yelper and put it in your mouth, and bring somebody with you, and yelp 3 times, and then take it out and set it down, and then don't yelp anymore. Wait a half hour, put it in your mouth, yelp 3 times, give it to the man, and let him take it home so you won't be tempted to use it again, because you can't do nothing stupid if the yelper's gone. And what Cuz does absolutely works. It is uncanny to watch him blow on that damn thing and make, the only thing he makes turkeys gobble so far off, you wear yourself out trying to get to them.
They gotta be close. They gotta be close. They're standing, I bet you they're standing right there where we started out. Doggone it.
There they are, there they are. I can shoot the first turkey now.
Man, I guess they work for us. I hope we got that turkey gone. Oh man, he's at least a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Got them big old thick one, about 1 inch spurs.
Nice beard.
Nice beard, about 9.5, 10 inches long. And man, I could not see a thing. Like I say, we got out of our way just in time.
Yes, we did.
You know what I thought about? In the chapter you wrote about an afternoon on the handles, about a funeral orientation, about everything, answering everything. That's all I could think about while I was sitting there.
And at one time when we first sat down there, I heard a wood duck. Just after lunch on the afternoon of February 3rd, 2001, I helped some of his friends bury what was very likely the best turkey hunter of the last 3/4 of the 20th century. We put him near the ashes of his fathers and the temple of his gods, and we did it through the doors of the church he had joined as a boy of 11 in 1938. The guy that I wrote about in Afternoon on the Handles was a fellow named Jim Andrews, and Jim and I had been hunting together for nearly 40 years when he died. Jim was one of these fellows. He never did anything much different than anybody else. He didn't have any unusual techniques. His yelping was good, but not outstanding. He was a good woodsman because he was a professional woodsman, but he was a turkey magnet. He was one of these guys that if I had to, I can't now because I can't get him, I can't dig him up, but he's one of those guys, if you had to get a turkey kill for $1 million, Jim Andrews would have been the man to go to do it for you. He sleeps in the graveyard of the First Presbyterian Church of Camden, Alabama, 2 miles below the bottom curve of Gee's Bend on the Alabama River. This spring, on any cool morning, before the leaves get too big, if you will station yourself at the lich gate of the cemetery, it will be possible to hear faint gobbles along the south bank of the river, all of which only means that in addition to being buried with his fathers, he is also buried in the midst of his avocation. It was absolutely uncanny the way he thought like turkey. I believe he could scout a one in Bienville Square in downtown Mobile. The second service was called the funeral oration, and at this one the preacher informed the congregation as to what direction, in his opinion, the soul of the deceased had gone. I would have been willing to bet that there had not been one delivered in this state, even in one of the backwoods serpent-handling congregations, since 1910. But I am pretty well convinced that last Easter Saturday morning in Pickens County, Alabama, I heard one. There was a first-class natural blind in a clump of buckeye bushes at the base of a 2-foot ash, and all I had to do was sit down and get comfortable. There were positively 4 turkeys. I am morally certain there were 5, and they gobbled at every sound but one. All of these turkeys flew down on the ground within 5 minutes after I got there, and the gobbling on the ground was unlike anything I have ever heard. They gobbled at crows, at owls, at a pair of red-shouldered hawks. They gobbled at wood ducks. They gobbled at each other. They gobbled at every single sound but me. I never got an answer. I never made any turkey stop gobbling. I was treated from beginning to end completely as a non-person. No sound I made or didn't make had any effect upon the proceedings whatsoever until they all finally shut up and walked off. The thought occurred to me on the way back home that it was just as if I had been attending a performance. And then I was struck with the thought that maybe I had been. Maybe it was a funeral oration handled from the other side. It was never written that the oration had to be delivered in the English language. Nobody ever said the orator had to be wearing black broadcloth rather than feathers. Maybe when these things are handled from the far side rather than the near, they do them in a different way, and that this was simply a collection of his new friends sent down here to tell the world they had welcomed him through the gates. As far as I was concerned, the entire oration, if there was one, was conducted simply as a matter of confirmation and only served to convince those persons still in doubt. There was no need for it at all if it was being done for my benefit. I already knew which way he went.